Well, again, I think it's worth repeating and necessary to repeat that there really is no one fix. If there was, I would certainly think that we would have done it before. But I think there's a host of things that we need to look at as we deal with mass shootings and just what we're seeing around the country in terms of increased level of violence. And so when we look to the perpetrators of these very violent acts, some have not lived beyond the tragedy that they brought to others, so we can't ask them the questions, what drove you to this? But we've got pretty good indications that most of these individuals suffer from varying degrees of mental illness. So that clearly has to be a focus that we look to. So the Stop Violence Act came about after Columbine and was directed to be, okay, let's secure our schools, a very reactive approach. What we're looking at now is increasing the amount of grant funding that is available, but allowing for an expansion of these grants to go more towards the assessment, the identification, the training. 2.5 million students and teachers have been trained in this approach. It's in place. It's evidence-based in the sense the suicides that they have been able to intervene, the threats that they have been able to pick up on. So here you have a group of parents that have been motivated to act because of the horrific tragedy there at Sandy Hook, and this is where they're focusing much of their energy. But it's not just on the mental health side. I think we recognize that we have failures within our system that could help also prevent these types of mass shootings. One of the things that we learned in the this is a part of the problem when you have so many of these shootings, you forget which one it was, but it was a failure within the Department of Defense to be able to share records with NICS about a domestic violence incident on the individual who was the shooter there. We haven't corrected that yet. Now, agencies can act on their own, but don't you think that that's a simple thing that we can say as agencies gather this information, that you put it into the NICS system, that as states, we should all be making sure that the information that we have is going into that national database? Because we can say, well, we're going to count on that, but if we don't have good data, if we're not sharing the information, shame on us.
Do you think that AR-15 should be banned? Should that be a conversation we should be having?
I don't want to single out one specific weapon.
Why not?
Because if we say, okay, AR-15s are banned, have we addressed the problem of mass shooting, or have we addressed it with one particular type of weapon? What is going to preclude the next person that has significant mental illness from finding another type of weapon that is capable of a mass killing? It's not just AR-15s. So what I think we need to look to is, all right, there are weapons out there that have clearly greater killing capacity. Should we be looking at the magazine capacity? Should we say, okay, all AR-15 style platforms should be banned? I'm saying, let's put all of this out there for discussion. Let's not be afraid to say, hey, because we see it in this many cases, is this the one? Or what else do we need to do to address what is not only a problem now, but it's a growing problem, and it's one that it just seems that we are seeing greater instances in this country. So you need to go to root cause. These guys just don't wake up one day and say, I'm going to go into an elementary school and take kids out. We've got to be looking at that, because we could ban every weapon out there, every firearm, and still not be able to solve the problem if that same deranged individual decides he's going to get into his truck and he's going to attack that whole school as these kids are coming out. I mean, we have to think broader than the one instance on June 12, 2016, or we're not going to turn this trend around.
Now,